and thank you for staying with us, actually. This is the last panel of our conference, and I'm the only one who could make it to get here. Sorry to tell you that the other speakers are on Zoom. They will be joining us on Zoom. They could not make it. So I'm Ahmad Natour, former president of the High Muslim Court of Appeals in the country, professor of law at the Hebrew University Law School and Netanya Academic College, and I'm the author of the promoting of the book titled Promoting Women's Rights in a Non-Muslim State in a Family Law, the Case of Israel. And I'm privileged to be chairing this session. We have three speakers this evening who will be sharing with us the perspectives of the three monotheistic religions: Judaism, Catholic Christianity, and Islam. My presentation is titled The Angle of Islam to the Question of Abortion. For understanding the debate on abortion in Islam, it's necessary to say a couple of words about the sources of the Islamic law. The primary two sources are the Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran is the very word of God. It's revelation to the Prophet from heaven. It continued for 23 years at intervals, and it's the holy book of Islam. If I may use the terminology of Kelsen, it's the basic norm of Islam as religion and as law. Of course, it includes many things. The legal material in the Quran covers criminal law, constitutional law, international law, and others. And of course, many things said about other religions, about that God is one God, and Prophet Muhammad is his messenger, and so. The Sunnah is also a revelation of God. That's why it has sort of sanctity, but in contrast to the Quran, it was written, classified and codified 200 years after the Prophet passed away. It was transmitted from person to person, and it was a very hard job that jurists had to do. We are talking about 6 jurists: Al-Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Sijistani, and so, that classified the narrative reports and told us what is authentic, what's true, that the Prophet did. We are talking about the Hadith. It's called Hadith. It's the narrative reports that we got through these channels, and it describes actually the life of the Prophet, what he did, what he said, and what he approved passively. The secondary sources are ijma and qiyas. Ijma, it's when the jurists of a particular generation are unanimous on an issue, so it becomes the law and should be followed. Of course, this should be depending on the first primary sources, but it's done by the jurists. The analogical reasoning or the analogical deduction, it's the qiyas. It's also done by the jurist, but it could be made like the ijma when the primary sources are silent, when they don't have answers to the rules, to the questions that is rising. So the jurors should make an effort, should make an investigation in order to get to the answer, to the rule. So he tries to find the similarity between rules are mentioned in the primary sources and give it to the new question. And as you know, this technique does exist in many judicial systems, what we call in Hebrew hikesh. We have 3 more sources, and these sources are, we call it other sources, because not all schools of thought in the Islamic Sunni accepted. One is the istihsan, it's equity, and public interest, maslaha, and the presumption of continuity, istishab. From this introduction, I'll move to the origin of life. What is the origin of life in Islamic view? Since the creation of Adam, all people are created in woman's womb after safely passing through 3 formative stages of development, and then the 4th crucial stage of ensoulment until they are ready to be born. Quran in chapter 23, verses 12 to 14 summarizes the process of creation as follows. Verily we created man from a product of wet earth, then placed him as a drop of seed, in Arabic nutfa, in a safe lodging. Then fashioned we the drop of clot, alaka. Then fashioned we the clot a little lump, mudra. Then fashioned we the little lump bones. Then clothed the bones with flesh, and then produced it as another creation. Quran chapter 22, verse 5 provides a similar description of the process. We have created you from dust, then from a drop of seed, then from clot, then from a little lump of fresh, shapely and shapeless, that we may make it clear for you, and we cause what we will to remain in wombs for an appointed time. And after we bring you forth as infants, then give you growth. So according to the Quran and the Sunnah, we are talking about 3 stages. The nutfa, the alaka, which is a zygote, and the mudra. So each one, it takes 40 days, altogether 120 days. Now, what happens before? What's the rule about a fetus before 120 days? Abortion before 120 days is permissible. After that, it's not. It's totally forbidden. Before 120 days, if the abortion happens intentionally, so it's a sin. But who does it should pay a certain compensation, indemnity, but not like a crime. After 120 days, it is a crime. It is a killing. So it is murder. In this case, who causes that, he should pay blood money, diya. If the mother does that, the money should be paid to the heirs, not to her, because she was the killer of the fetus. In Islamic law and ethics, abortion is not totally banned, nor it's totally allowed. Why I do say that? Because we have different opinions when it comes to the various schools of the Sunni Islam. The Hanafis which is one of the majority of the Muslims in the world, the Sunni Muslims in the world, say that up to 120 days it's permissible. The Malikis and the Hanbalis say it's prohibited at any stage. Most of the modern jurists try to find different, or try to give different answers than the classic period of jurists, by trying to make analogical reasoning with things that did exist in the time of the Prophet. One of these is the infanticide. Infanticide, it was a usage of the pre-Islam Arabia, that they used to bury their newborn daughters because of poverty, because of shame, because whatever. And the Quran utterly banned that, said it's killing and they should not do it. So it's totally forbidden in the Quran. It's called wad. And the other thing is what's called coitus interruptus, which is incomplete sexual intercourse. So is that true, to make analogical reasoning between the two? If it's similar to infanticide, so we should be talking about an existing human being. Now, if it's before 120 days, it's not exactly true, because there is no human being before 120 days. So it is not exactly like infanticide. Is it like coitus interruptus? Coitus interruptus is more like contraceptions that did not happen. Anything happened as outcome of the sexual sexual operation. So it is it's not exactly good analogy. The former Sheikh of Al-Azhar, the leading institute of the Islamic Sunni world, said it's permissible if it happens through clinical or in a safe clinical method. When he came to Bosnia after the war in the Balkans, he was asked by thousands of women that who were raped by the Serbians, by the Serbs. Do they are allowed to abort the children that actually they were outcome of rape? And it's not only rape, it's rape by the enemy. So it's like the enemy has planted himself in the stomach of the woman. So whether they are allowed to abort these children or not, he was not decisive about it. He just said, you can keep him. Of course she knows that she can keep him. The question is not if she can keep him. The question was if she can get rid of him. So he did not was clear in this. Another Sheikh Al-Azhar, the president of Al-Azhar, called Jad al-Haq, said that abortion within 120 days is considered as family planning. Especially in Egypt, it's needed. And one of the great jurists of the generation, of our generation, is Al-Sha'rawi. He opposed any abortion, even if it was during 120 days. Now, when the mother is at risk, if she was in danger because of the pregnancy. So abortion in this case is mandatory. We have to do it because we compare between the interests, whom to kill actually. And she prevails, of course, because she exists and he does not exist. So in this case, we sacrifice the fetus in order to save the mother. Is it allowed because of poverty? No, the Quran was clear, because God will take care of him, so it is not allowed. Poverty is not good reason for that. The punchline, I would say, in Islamic law and ethics, abortion is not totally allowed, nor it's totally prohibited. Thank you very much.